Hi, welcome to Coaster Mania. I'm Micah, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on Dollywood. This park, which originally carried the name Silver Dollar City, is co-owned by both Dolly Parton and Immersion Family Entertainment. This theme park is embedded deep in the Smoky Mountains and is cradled inside of what can only be described as a valley. In my opinion, there isn't much else out there that is as charming as Dollywood is. Don't forget to like the video and share your feedback in the comments below. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Dollywood was the fifth park that Katie and I visited together. Opened in 1961, this award-winning theme park has continued to wow visitors on an annual basis. This is one of our favorite parks and matches closely with the magical experience we had at Kings Island. This park, while on the smaller side, packs in a ton of charm that would be hard to find at many other theme parks, even twice the size of this one. It really goes to show how much care and attention to detail a company like Immersion, in tandem with Dolly Parton, put into this wonderful place. If you're not familiar with the structure of my reviews, I like to break them down into smaller bite-sized pieces. I'll be breaking up my opinions on Dollywood into 10 sections. I'll go through first impressions, theming, immersion, layout, amenities, food, staff, coasters, flat rides, and finally operations. To tie everything together, I will crunch the numbers and give an average score. So let's go ahead and take a look at what my thoughts are about Dollywood. Section 1. First Impressions. Dollywood excels on its first impressions. With the positioning of this park, you really cannot see it until you are right outside of the parking lot, and even a little ways inside the park. When walking inside, you are greeted with the beautiful front entry plaza, which is filled with immaculate design. There was the added touch of the kite sky that was in place for the Bush's Beans summer event, and this little touch looks so good. Taking a whole lap around the park, you'll begin to realize that when you're in Dollywood, nothing else exists. The park is nestled in a sort of valley, so there are large foothills and trees on all sides of the footpaths. Even from some of the tallest rides in the park, it's difficult to see outside of the park area, meaning that the excluded feel of this park is maintained. Aside from this, the park is incredibly clean. All of the plant life looks very healthy. Really, there's nothing bad I can say about this park. One weird thing that I'd like to add, compared to the crowd at Carowinds, oddly enough, I felt like people were a little less rowdy at Dollywood, and I felt like people in general were more conscientious of other park goers around them. As weird as this may sound, this did affect our experience at both parks, and in a small part, helped contribute to our positive experience at Dollywood. I'd rate the first impressions a 10 out of 10. Section 2. Theming. To me, the theming at Dollywood partially reminds me of what you can often find at a lot of European amusement parks. Many of the rides have good theming and go just one extra step further to make the ride more special than Airtime Machine that goes 200 feet in the air or something like that. You have rides like Mystery Mine, a partial dark ride, partial thrill ride. There's Blazing Fury, which is mostly a dark ride but with some small roller coaster sections. And then there's Fire Chaser Express, a family coaster with a quirky backstory. Beyond just the rides, the rest of the park has some of the best looking decor and theming we've ever seen at a theme park so far. Not every ride is all that thorough in the way of theming, but a good portion of them are. At every corner of the park, there exists a subtly different theme. In the front of the park being a Main Street-esque feel to Jukebox Junction, feeling like it was ripped straight out of the 50s. There's Timber Canyon, which feels like a hiking trail with goofy odds and ends littered about to keep things visually interesting. Like I said earlier, out of all the parks that Katie and I visited together, Dollywood has some of the best theming we've ever seen. I'd rate the theming here a 9 out of 10. Section 3. Immersion. Piggybacking off the last two segments is immersion. I've said a lot of what I could have said already, but I'll reiterate. This park takes you out of the real world. All of your woes and struggles, the world feels like it completely vanishes when you're here. As you walk from one end of the park to the other, your brain is completely immersed in different styles of American history. Dollywood embraces the Smoky Mountains and the culture around it and lifts it all up. There's the music being played by the live performers, the sights, the sounds. Dollywood as a whole package is incredibly immersive. I honestly don't know what else to say. I'll rate the Immersion a 10 out of 10. Section 4. Layout. The layout of Dollywood is very simple. It is basically a triangular oval-like shape. When you enter the park, you can go either left or right, and whichever way you go, it will loop back to the other side. The area around Rivertown Junction at times was a bit sprawling and awkward to navigate, but if you knew the general direction of where you wanted to go, you could easily get to whatever part of the park you were trying to get to. It would be nice to see if there was potentially more than one way to get into Wildwood Grove, but as it stands now, the entrance for it is completely fine. There really isn't much I could think of that would improve the layout of the park. Maybe a tunnel cutting through the middle to add an additional pathway from one side of the park to the other? Nah, that's just outright unrealistic. Overall, I'd rate the layout a 9 out of 10. Section 5. Amenities. Dollywood also does a really good job with its amenities. There is a large area near the front entrance that has electric scooter parking, meaning that older guests or guests with disabilities have an easy way to still enjoy the park. Most of the park is also completely accessible, meaning that the people on these electric scooters can easily navigate around. Other than this, there were plenty of food stalls, bathrooms, benches, and shade to share for everyone. The availability of the amenities is also greatly helped due to the fact that the park itself isn't all that large, meaning you can easily get from one end to another without walking too much. I have to give major props to Dollywood for its queue line covers. Every single queue line for its roller coasters is completely covered. Whether the queue is inside a building or under canopies, it's all covered. And there were plenty of fans to help cool us down. No matter where you are in the park, you aren't too far to find different facilities in case you need to relieve yourself. There were plenty of snack and food stalls, and refilling our hydro flask was easy and encouraged. The biggest area that is lacking is Wildwood Grove. There is plenty in the way of food and restroom availability here, but the shade, or rather the fact that there was none. I don't know if Katie and I were just unlucky and always went up to this area during the hottest part of each day. Each time we went up there, it was blistering hot, and the lack of shade just made the problem even worse. This is an issue that, over time, will solve itself since there are trees planted in this area already. They just need to grow so that they can actually cover the pathways. Overall, I'd rate the amenities at Dollywood a 9 out of 10. Section 6. Food. Dollywood's food situation was somewhat similar to other theme parks, but with some exceptions. On our first day at the park, we located a small refrigerator with pre-made wraps and sandwiches near Fire Chaser Express. This was a savior to me since it was quick, cool, and light. A lot of the other food offerings at the park were just about what you'd expect. None of it was all too greasy, but it wasn't groundbreaking in the way of theme park food goes. We did also eat at Aunt Granny's restaurant in Rivertown Junction. They serve barbecue chicken and other food here that wasn't all that bad. It felt a little bit like finer dining, but the proportions were huge. When you eat here, you order 2 sides, and neither Katie nor myself were able to finish off everything. It was good food, even if it was a bit generic in the sense of being theme park food. I'm sure you've heard this before if you've seen other videos talking about Dollywood, but you have to experience cinnamon bread. Located in the area called Owen's Farm is the grist mill. Inside, workers are constantly making loaves of the delicious cinnamon bread hot and ready. I've tried various desserts at theme parks, but this cinnamon bread takes the cake for being some of the best treats you can get. If you go to this park and don't try the cinnamon bread, you're missing out. Big time. Overall, I'd rate the food at Dollywood a 7 out of 10. Section 7. Staff. Dollywood has one of the best staffing situations I think I've ever encountered in the theme park industry so far. Most theme parks are employed by seemingly underpaid, fresh out of high school grads who probably aren't the most excited to be working where they are. Based on who was working and the attitudes of the employees at this park, makes me feel like Dollywood compensates its employees handsomely and seemingly provides good benefits for them as well. Nearly everyone seemed fully engaged and excited to be there. You had employees that were both young and old. In fact, inside the gift shop near Wild Eagle was this one super cute older woman. Call me weird, but she was just so cute and seemed to be enjoying herself while she was there. If she's anything like my grandmother, she probably wasn't the type who enjoyed sitting at home doing nothing productive. Beyond this, everyone was friendly and had a genuine smile on their face, and even had some staff members approach me and just talk with me as I was getting photos or videos of some of the rides. Overall, I'd rate the staff at Dollywood a 10 out of 10. Section 8. Coasters. Dollywood is home to a unique RMC hybrid coaster. Everything else is great, but doesn't hold the same status as this one ride. Lightning Rod is unique in that it starts with a launch rather than a traditional lift hill. This leads it to be less than reliable, especially when compared to everything else at the park. Hardly any other ride at the park had downtime except for Lightning Rod. The downtime on this coaster wasn't as bad as what I've heard it could be, but it was still down a decent bit of our time there. A lot of the other coasters at the park are fairly short, but decently forceful. For instance, one of the rides, Wild Eagle, I was not expecting much going into it. It commonly gets the nickname Mild Eagle by coaster enthusiasts. After getting off this ride, however, I was decently surprised by how fun and forceful it was. We were getting very fast rides on it for one, but still, it was a lot more thrilling than I expected. Other rides like Fire Chaser Express was one of Katie's favorites at the park, and she kept wanting to go back to it. You've also got Mystery Mine, which, while it can be a bit uncomfortable during certain moments, actually was really fun, especially with the dark ride portions it had. And Tennessee Tornado was the smoothest aero coaster I've ever ridden. It's short, fast, and forceful, and notably smooth. This coaster was designed heavily using computers and applying heartlining to the elements, which made the experience far better than classic aero coasters. I'm really curious to see how Big Bear Mountain rides and how it contributes to the overall lineup of the park. Overall, I'd rate the coasters at Dollywood an 8 out of 10. Section 9. Flat Rides. The flat rides of Dollywood is one area where it is only slightly lacking. This park has one of my favorite types of flat rides, the S&S Scream and Swing, but it feels like there could just be a little bit more. Granted, the drop tower was closed due to an accident that happened on a similar model last year, but other than that, a lot of the other flat rides present were on the smaller side. There are a few in an area known as the Village, but that is a part of the park that is somewhat out of the way, and a lot of the flat rides here aren't all that special. The only other major selection of flat rides are the ones located at Wildwood Grove. The only reason we didn't experience these is because a lot of them were on the smaller side and meant more for families and smaller children. Fortunately, there still was a decently large selection of flat rides, which was a good thing, but some larger rides would go a long way, wherever they might fit. Overall, I'd rate the flat rides of Dollywood an 8 out of 10. Section 10. Operations. The operations at Dollywood were largely a surprise to us. For once, a theme park has properly staffed teams for operating their rides, and you can tell that the employees not only enjoy working there, but also don't have to push past their limits to do a good job. Take Fire Chaser Express for instance. We were consistently seeing dispatches anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds, and the ride ops seemed to not even be breaking a sweat while doing this. The lines at this park could have been far longer than they were, but in all reality, Dollywood does a great job managing lines due to how quick their operations are. The operations were also helped that a lot of the head ride ops were seemingly enjoying their time. They would often be telling jokes, interacting with riders, and overall creating a very enjoyable environment. These were consistently some of the best I've seen at any theme park I have ever gone to. Good job, guys. Overall, I'd rate the operations at Dollywood a 10 out of 10. Dollywood is one of those parks that is on a level above many other theme parks in North America. One of the things I personally said when describing this park to friends and family was that it was like Disney, but country. There is a lot on offer here, not just for coaster enthusiasts, but families as well. To any coaster enthusiasts out there, as well as travelers in general, Dollywood is a destination worth visiting. Moving through the scores, I gave First Impressions a 10 out of 10, Theming a 9 out of 10, Immersion a 10 out of 10, Layout a 9 out of 10, Amenities a 9 out of 10, Food a 7 out of 10, Staff a 10 out of 10, Coasters an 8 out of 10, Flat Rides an 8 out of 10, and finally, Operations a 10 out of 10. This all adds up to an average of 9 out of 10. Dollywood is such a strong theme park and is a force to be reckoned with as time goes on. With the new additions coming this year and potentially in years to come, I am sure that this park will remain one of the best parks in North America. Make sure to check out all of the shows that the park has on offer as well, since there is too many at the park to list or even experience in a single day. If you ever decide to visit this park, you will surely have an unforgettable experience. Thank you so much for watching this review of Dollywood. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to leave a like and comment below and consider subscribing. I intend on uploading more content as time goes on and as Katie and I experience more parks and coasters. You can also find daily uploads on our Instagram page at CoasterMania. Soon we'll be opening an Etsy page where you'll be able to buy prints and more of some of your favorite coaster photography of ours. Thanks for watching the video, and ride on, Coaster Maniacs!